Welcome, everybody, to the XoneBros. We're back. Second episode of the year. We're at our normal time. We're in person. It's a beautiful thing. I missed you guys.
Yay.
Being sick and doing it remotely, it's just not the same thing.
True.
It's just...
Yeah.
It's just there's a chemistry that happens in person that doesn't cross the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we argue, especially.
Yeah.
It's just
you can feel it you can see it in our eyes.
yeah. There's like physical cues that just aren't there. Welcome everybody. Hope you've had a great start to the new year. Again, I guess we're like
we got New Year and change. That's okay.
Midway through the month. So one of the big news stories this week, though, is Xbox is just crushing it in 2022. We talked about it a little bit last week, but 12 million consoles sold. And what's interesting about that is Phil Spencer was interviewed by the New York Times, and he talked about that number, the 12 million number, and he said it's not a supply problem, it's a demand problem.
Yeah,
that there
which
is
is
more
super
demand than they've ever had for any console ever.
Yeah, which is super fascinating because my guess would have been on the supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, most industries are experiencing that.
Yeah.
So it was actually really fascinating to hear that, and you know when he was talking about it, you know what I was thinking the whole time?
What were you thinking?
How cool would it be just to watch the assembly line of Xboxes being created? You know what I mean?
You remember that old show? Me and my wife have been watching that old show, How Was It Made? Did you ever?
Yeah.
That would be awesome to see an episode with that crappy background music.
How then they take the motherboard.
I just want to see like the robot arms, and you got to wear like the full lab get up,
The full
you know,
dust.
So. But no, I was actually surprised that it wasn't. It was more of a demand issue and not a supply issue, which is interesting.
Yeah,
which is good. That means everybody wants one.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was interesting that he talked about is that Game Pass basically, and I'm super paraphrasing here, so go read the article, go read his quotes to get the actual.
Yeah, I think it was his New York Times.
New York Times one,
right?
yeah. But you can just type in Phil Spencer, Xbox, and everybody reported on it. But one of the things that he talked about with regards to Game Pass is that Game Pass, he said they're doing good, but he basically said it's not their number one thing yet. Like, they have an advantage. There's first mover advantage, but in the subscription space, there's a lot of competition in the subscription space, and they're really focused on continuing to grow that, which was fascinating to me that you wouldn't just come out and say, like, oh, yeah, we're crushing it. We're crushing it. Not in the same way that, like, he did with consoles. He said the majority of their funds still are transactional, i.e. physical discs.
Really?
And
Interesting.
selling individual games. Which makes sense. That makes sense. Because, I mean, what do you have? Only 21 million estimated Game Pass users, supposedly, rumored, allegedly.
Yeah.
But really interesting. Regardless, I think what it shows is that Xbox really is just doing things right. And I think the choice to have the Series S as well as the Series X was the correct choice.
Well,
options are always better.
Isn't that what they were saying when I forget who it was, but it was kind of, it wasn't it a market analyst on Twitter that posted kind of the numbers first. They were saying it was the Series S that allowed them to put more Xboxes on the shelves.
Yeah. And not only that, but that's, I mean, how many people purchase them. And
yeah, it's a good
the
console.
other smart thing is making the Series S so sexy. It looks so good.
It just looks like, it just looks good.
Yeah. You don't need... If you look that good, it doesn't matter what's on the inside.
That's, you know what? If we
It's
can
an
get
eternal-
anything out of
eternal
that,
principle.
Yeah.
It is an eternal principle.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just got to look good.
There's a level of looks that makes it not matter what's on the inside.
That's very
People will want you.
Yeah.
/it.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyways, it's very exciting. Stalker 2 did get delayed as well. The right move, obviously. They said it's not ready, but everybody tells me I would love Stalker 2, and I have no experience with the Stalker series.
Yeah.
Jordan, have you played it?
No.
I think whenever a Stalker game has come out, I think I've been otherwise occupied on other games, which is really funny to say.
Well, when was the original Stalker? It was, what, years ago? Was it an original Xbox or was it a 360 game? I don't even know. I was never.
I believe it was a 360.
I don't know. I was never into the Stalker universe, but after seeing the trailers and stuff for the second one, I definitely want to be. It was kind of like Metro. I was never into Metro, and then I finally played it, and holy crap, the game is good.
Yeah, you're actually thinking of going back to Metro, I hear.
Yeah,
Word
Metro
on the
Exodus.
street.
Yeah, word on the. I was telling you guys earlier, I had some weird urges this week. And those urges were, for some reason, I wanted to play Metro Exodus and Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about those.
And I was like, why do I want to play these?
Let's
This
actually
is,
take a question. So Blake Densley wrote in, Mr. Barber Blake, and he asked this question. He said, I've got a question for you. What past games are you going to try and finish this year that you've not finished in the past? I don't want games you haven't started at all, but games you've played maybe halfway through and just didn't finish. Is that where your weird urges? Is that why you've had weird urges?
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because we're kind of waiting until the end of February or beginning of February for Dying Light, end of February for Elden Ring.
Jordan's hitting his gaming puberty.
Yeah.
He's
No, it's because I never finished either of those games. I never finished Metal Gear Solid 5, even despite I did enjoy the game. I just never finished it, so I was like, let's go back and finish this. And then I never finished Exodus, also enjoyed that game. So the two games, and maybe it's Stalker that kicked it off. As soon as I heard the announcement, excuse me, because I mean Metro Exodus and Stalker have a similar aesthetic. They're
Well,
not the
it's a vibe.
same.
It's a
but they
vibe,
got a
yeah.
similar, a similar aesthetic, a similar vibe. So maybe it was that. I don't know why Metal Gear Solid. I think I was just watching YouTube on like Monday, and I happened to see like gameplay of Guns of the Patriots #4 on the PS3. I was like, man, I gotta play me a Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
So those two are two.
And then I will say this: Blake, the man who asked the question himself, does really want me to finish Assassin's Creed, so I'm gonna try and do that too.
Oh, okay.
I think Assassin's Creed would be a good one.
That is a game, personally, this might be controversial, that I will never go back to.
I think I know why.
I have made this decision in my life. Similar to my decision to remove negative people from my life, which I have successfully done, I have decided that I will be removing games from my life that feel like work. And also that screw me in the tutorial zone.
I don't think you're ever going to be playing a open world game.
Well,
then.
I get
or
where
an MMO.
I get where you're coming
or
from.
any other game that's not like 6 hours or less.
Well, I get where you're coming from because we even had this discussion.
Let's pull up Valhalla, because why not? I feel like we're rocking it back to Valhalla days here.
We actually had this discussion in Discord this week. We were talking about Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
And there was talk about how they kind of fatigue you, how some people they go every other Ubisoft game. And it's true because there is a distinct formula to a Ubisoft game. Let's take Assassin's Creed and Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
Different games, but their open world mechanics are very similar, just with a different coat of paint. And I think even me, because I didn't finish Far Cry 6 either, and it's just I think it just
No, but see, I think
no, you're right though. It fatigues you. It
but
feels
I think
like
Far
work,
Cry 6 masked it a little better, because I don't feel the same way about Far Cry 6
it's super
that I do
overwhelming.
Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed, when I pull up the map in Assassin's Creed, I want to shoot myself.
Yeah, well,
It makes me
Far Cry's bigger and more
it makes
stuff.
me hate myself.
Yeah, Far Cry's a bigger map and it has more
Maybe
stuff.
though Far Cry has a more sandbox. I think Far Cry has a more sandbox feel
I
to
don't know.
it, so it
I
masks
felt
it
the
better.
same way with Far Cry. Like I got to a certain point and I was like, I just can't do this. You're right. It feels like work almost in some of these, especially if you're going for that 100%. And a lot of people are, because you kind of just have that completion.
Because that's what you need to do,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Because it's cool.
That's why it was so nice and refreshing to go through. And I'm not saying this is necessarily an open world game or on the same scale open world wise as these other two games.
Yeah.
That's why it was so nice playing Halo Infinite, because you had that open world, but it didn't feel like I was doing menial tasks to check off a
Yeah,
meter.
Halo does a good.
know?
Well, here's the thing: every every forward operating base or any of those side quests, they feel self-contained.
Yeah.
So each one is like its individual fight that you're getting into.
And even when you go to 100% and all, because it's more. I mean, I don't know how to put it. More quality over quantity, or I mean, that can be. People can disagree with that, but it just because there's not so much. Like, it's not overwhelming when you pull up the mini map. You're not
Yeah.
deterred from it.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think Assassin's Creed, as the Viking things, I was super hyped by. I really like the story there. I like even the main character there, but I just don't think. I'm being facetious when I make fun of it, but I really don't think that I can go back to it, because when I do open up that map, it does feel
Daunting.
It's
Yeah.
daunting.
It's a good word
It
for it.
stresses. It's a stress, and I have so much stress in my life right now that when I play a game, I don't want to feel that stress.
Yeah, you don't need it as a Viking.
Well, I think you're crazy. That's kind of what de-stresses me.
Stress?
Stress de-stresses
Stress
me. That's
de-stresses
just how it works. I am awesome. No, I mean, I like these games because I just throw on music or an audiobook and just start checking the list right off.
You're a list crosser.
Yeah,
offer.
I'm an Excel spreadsheet gamer. That's how I like to do it. So a game like Valhalla, I really like all these games. Even it's one of the reasons I like the open world Lego series because there's so many things to just check.
Yeah, but
off
again,
the list.
but no, see, I think there's it's different there because the open world Lego series, it's like level completions. It doesn't like.
Some of them are. Some of them.
No, but what I'm saying
like
is
the
it has the
Avengers.
feel. They do a good job of giving you that feel of level completions. And it's just those are just fun. Those are like they don't take themselves too serious. In this, where it's like a serious story, plus you got the collection on top of it, plus it's just massive.
There's a
It
lot
hurts
to
me.
do.
Maybe it's just that you just don't
hurts
have the
me.
time. Like Super Shocker in
hurts
chat
me.
just said, dads don't have time for 100-hour games. Maybe
Can you
it's
imagine
something like that.
a Cliff Notes version?
A Cliff Notes version of 100-hour games. Dads don't have that time, says Super Shocker. That's a good. It's like you should be able to install the Cliff Notes version.
It just takes you through all the high
I'm
points.
pretty sure it's just called Wikipedia. It's
called-
You don't even have to play it. You can
YouTube.
just read the 3-paragraph synopsis.
That's hilarious. That's actually not a bad idea. Super Shocker. Anyways, we took a but don't you think that Far Cry has a different feel than
Far Cry?
Yeah, Far Cry 6 has a different
Okay.
feel than Assassin's Creed. I think it does.
when it
Even though
comes
they're
to
both
its, when
Ubisoft.
it comes to its open world mechanics, I think they have the same feel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're it's a different coat of paint, but it's the same mechanic.
I say sort of. Because I think where we feel they're the same is kind of like the engine feels close, but I'm telling you,
No, I think the open world mechanics of the collection,
Like the
factor,
collection factor?
and finding the
Okay.
essentially unlocking the map, like it's all this. It's a Ubisoft game. They definitely follow a formula.
yeah, I just think having a rifle versus having a sword is very different, especially in Assassin's Creed where you can't really use your bow and arrow, like in Valhalla specifically, where it's like built not for range and stealth. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like. I don't know. I get what you're saying, but they're different enough.
I feel like what sets it apart is the sandbox feel because you can just mess around.
Yeah, and Far Cry, you can just appear at the top of the map and then just squirrel suit wherever you need to go.
Yeah, squirrel suit, blow stuff up on the way.
But that's my point. To do what though? The same thing you do in Assassin's Creed. So Far Cry
yeah,
just
but
gave
that's
you
what
a
I'm
fast
no,
travel
but that's what I'm
mechanic.
saying. I think Far Cry makes it funner.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what you want. If you want more like swords or guns, I think they're both fun games. I'm just saying they follow the same formula.
Hot Skills in chat says, I know the best dad game. It's called Lawn Mowing Simulator and is optimized for series controllers. It is. It's on. Was it on Game Pass for a while there? I think it was on Game Pass for a while. It might even be on Game Pass now. I know. I need to check.
No, yeah, all I'm saying is I think they're both fun games, and I probably will eventually finish them. It's just I feel like I get burnt out because it's the same formula. Like I went from Assassin's Creed to Phoenix Rising to Far Cry, and I was just like,
you
burnt.
definitely need
you know?
to go put games in between those.
Yeah,
For sure. Put a Forza in between. Put a shooter in between. You know, put something in between those 100-hour adventure games.
Yeah.
For sure. Imagine going from Red Dead Redemption to Valhalla to Far Cry. You're gonna be like go crazy.
Well, the thing is, Forza has a collection aspect to it, but in cars driving around, it's more of an exploration. Whereas I think that's where Assassin's, even Red Dead Redemption, I think Rockstar does a good job. Same with a Skyrim, of it's an exploration. They make you want to explore because you stumble into things. Assassin's Creed, I think, kind of takes away that exploration, and it's like there's a thing there to get, and up there, and over there.
But
Just go get it.
So what you're technically complaining about is more content because you don't necessarily need
but
to do that.
quantity is not always quality.
I want quality, is what I'm saying. Yes.
So just play the main story.
But that's
but then-
that's what's
but
hard
see-
because you're looking at that list and you're
and-
like, I know there's
yeah,
something
they're
over there. And I have to
taunting
go
me.
get. Yeah, that's hard.
They taunt you with the map, and they say you're not as good as you could be. You're not
You
getting
see?
the most out of this game that you otherwise would
That's
be.
why there's that burnout because you're just you just.
But that's so. Don't have some discipline. Damn it.
But we're real gamers, so we have to go for it. You know.
oh, but you're complaining of more content. I mean, I get it.
I
did
just
the
think
same
for
thing.
whatever reason, Assassin's Creed Valhalla kind of killed the series for me, and not because of it was a bad story.
It was a tutorial.
The 5-hour tutorial before I could even get into England, number one, and then once I got there, it just felt overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Ubisoft
Well-
games will do that to you.
And the idea,
Well, try doing it. Do a.
I feel like I need therapy for
do
this.
a mental experiment on
Yeah.
yourself.
I don't
okay,
think
go
there's
ahead.
any achievement
and just play the main quest.
in Assassin's
Try
Creed.
it.
In Assassin's Creed
Can't do
Valhalla, I don't think there's any achievements attached to difficulty, so you could just crank it down to easy and then just
but
kind of
see,
fly through.
then I'm being taunted again.
Now, then you're having fun. Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, there are parts in Assassin's Creed Valhalla when you're like going to visit. Where does Odin live again? I can't remember.
Tell me. Okay, yeah, you got to admit those levels were like, are you kidding me? And because you're a completionist, yes,
Wait, what's those levels?
No, you go into like a dream state.
it's you go to Thor's
mild
homeworld.
spoilers. It's not. We're not going to spoil any of the story, but you go into a dream state and you go visit Odin's.
Yeah, what's it called? There's.
It's not Azeroth. That's World of Warcraft. Everybody.
No, it's
the Rainbow Road place.
because there's Jotunheim,
Yeah.
Asgard.
Asgard.
There we
Gosh,
go.
I can't believe we're getting old.
Yeah,
So when you go to Asgard and it's a 30-hour
yeah, that place
side
was
quest
terrible.
mission that you're in a dream. When you wake up from that dream and you realize you've been playing it for 3 weeks,
And there's no time that has passed in
Well,
the real game world.
yes,
And do you know how they reward you for beating that level?
yeah.
They give you another level that doubles the first level, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a long. But see, that's what I'm saying. If you want a game that you can invest time into, that's the game you do it. If you want a game where you just want a story, a really good story, maybe you play a single-player shooter campaign like
Yeah.
Doom.
Wolfenstein or Doom. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's a nice palate cleanser. Give me a level.
Doom's a
say
palate
go from
cleanser for
A
anything.
to B, and blow stuff up along the way.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think Far Cry. I think Witcher. I think
no, but see,
this
I
game.
think other open world games
I think
do
they
it better.
fill a niche, though, man. That like
But-
you want one of these games once a year.
Well, so here we go. Here
Yeah.
we go. The question: what game will you go back to? That Blake asked there. One that I really want to go back to is Grand Theft Auto 5. And
Oh, you haven't finished that? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
here's
really
what I'm
good.
saying. That's an open world game, and when I jump in, that doesn't give me this anxiety of heaviness that for whatever reason Assassin's Creed does. Assassin's Creed, I log
Well,
in and it's like holy
sure.
crap, overwhelming. I think what I'm saying is I just think I don't think it's open world games. I think it's that open world game.
Okay. But I mean, see that game is specifically filling a niche for gamers like me that like to check things off the list. Whereas Grand Theft Auto 5 is a niche for you because
No, but here's rate 1 to 10. What is Grand Theft Auto 5? It's a 10.
sure.
What is Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Yeah, but that's not
No, but that does have to do with it. Like the reason that Valhalla is not a 10 is because it's not as well as made of a game, nor is the open world mechanics as well done as a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, but that's not the
I think I just had a breakthrough. I don't like shitty games.
No, we're talking about different mechanics. Like Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
does not have a screen that says you're missing 31 dream sequences in this specific county.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I think that's a bad mechanic.
Well, no. And I'm saying that's great you think that way, but there are other people that enjoy that. Like me.
You didn't like Asgard.
I know, but I like No. No, that's not the point. The point is, I like games
You
like that.
You like doing the completion.
I like
Yeah, the
looking and
completionist,
going, okay, I have to find this. I enjoy that. The reason I didn't like Asgard is because
Asgard, we had it. That
it had
we
me-
can all admit Asgard
had
needed
me
help.
by the balls for 30 hours.
Yeah, as Asgard and Jotunheim.
That had me stuck in that dream sequence for a very long time. That's the only reason. Whereas, like, in the open world, you could go to this kingdom in England and then this kingdom in England and go just explore whatever willy-nilly. But that they lock you into that dream, and you're
They
there for
want
a
you
long
to
time.
experience the dream.
No, so I'm just saying, David,
No, I
your
understand.
opinion is fine, but don't say my opinion is wrong. Because that's stupid.
I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. I'm saying it's incorrect. No, because I get the collectionist aspect,
Sure.
and I'll tell you who I think does it well. I just said Forza, I think, does the collection part really, really well, where
They fail on networking.
yeah, no, but where it, for whatever reason, it doesn't overwhelm you.
Well, that's because you can buy a map for $1.99.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You bring up that map and it doesn't overwhelm you because they present it in a way and do it in a way when you go collect stuff that it's an adventure. You'll go out there and you'll find some unique things, and the race on the way is super fun. Or whereas in Valhalla, it's go and get. We're
Sure.
not going to have some crazy story happen on the way. Go and get and come back.
And I understand that
So
that's,
it's just not. It
it doesn't appeal to you as much.
But I think, objectively speaking, it's just not as good of a way to do it,
Okay.
which is why it's not a 10.
Okay.
Like even
What
Forza Horizon 5 they essentially Forza Horizon 5 and Valhalla, essentially the same game with different skins.
What about Witcher 3? Is that a 10?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it's a 10. Yeah.
Because they're open world intertwined with other things.
Yeah, because they make it's an adventure. You go and explore. That's the part that
Well, okay.
Valhalla misses.
The reason The Witcher gets a 10 is because it's the greatest game ever made. But because their side quests were at just as high,
As the main story.
just as high or better than the main story.
Okay.
And the way their side quests intertwined with other side quests and even main story quests down the line was brilliant.
What about Breath of the Wild? Is that a 10?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and that one, they like hide the collective part, but there is a collection aspect.
Yeah,
in
what
that.
I'm saying is, like,
I don't know if I'd give
collections-
Breath of the Wild a 10.
Whoa, hold up,
wait
hold
a
up.
minute.
I'm going to change the
Wait a
gameplay
minute.
from
Can we-
Valhalla.
Can we mute him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we mute him?
Yeah, he's gone. We voted. You're out.
No. I think what I'm saying is the collectionist. I'm not saying the collectionist aspect is bad.
It's
I'm
how it's
saying
presented is
The
bad.
way Valhalla did it is not good. Versus Forza did a really good job. Skyrim does a really good job. Zelda does a really good job. Oh,
Okay,
man.
do
Jordan,
we want to talk about this?
do you-
Well, no, I don't
really
think it's a
not?
bad game. I think it's a solid 9.
You don't think it's a 10?
No.
What happened between?
It was always a 9.
Three
It was
and a
never,
half
it was
years
never a
ago?
10 for me.
No, check the records.
Yeah.
Check the
Can
we
we
have the NES Bros old episodes we could
Well,
go back
then
to.
I was much younger and not as wise as I am now. Because no, it's a 9. It's a 9.
When was the last time you played it?
When you thought it was a 10?
I think that's
A few years ago?
I think he's just forgotten.
few
No,
years
probably
ago.
probably like a year or two ago. Yeah, I mean probably a couple of years ago. I mean the game's been out for a while. No,
It's
I
still
would,
$60.
I would give it a 9. Like the story's good. Yeah. Yeah. The story's good. I love the new open world stuff, the Skyrim stuff, the inspiration of Skyrim, right? Not being tied down to a, I guess, linear story. You can do things in any direction. The side quest stuff was very tedious.
See, I didn't.
There was 150 something tombs that were all puzzles that, like, if you wanted to complete it, it was too much.
Well, now you can replay those all in Genshin Impact. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
'Cause, like
That's-
mirror.
Yeah.
Okay, is Genshin Impact a 10 for you?
No.
Because if it is, then Zelda's a 10.
No, Genshin Impact's not a 10.
If you had unlimited funds, would it be a 10?
Sorry I took us off on a tangent. This is my therapy. I had to get that out.
No,
I
but
feel like we need to do
to-
therapy with Jordan now.
Yeah.
too.
To answer the original question, I will probably finish Assassin's Creed because I do like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun. But no, I think it's like Mark said. I need because I literally went. I think it was Assassin's Creed was one open world game. I may have played something in between, but it was really like Assassin's Creed, Phoenix Rising, and Far Cry. And it was
Yeah.
just. I just had to.
You gotta pace
I had
yourself.
I had to step back from Ubisoft.
It's
for a
like
minute,
eating meat straight for 6 months. Like that's great, but eventually you're gonna get gout. You know,
Eventually, you're gonna get gout.
like you need some vegetables
You
intertwined.
need some fruit.
Uh,
You need to cleanse yourself a little bit. Spicy.
what is the best open world game?
Best open world game.
Yeah.
Well, see, you
I
would
would
consider
I would
consider
say The
Witcher.
Yeah,
for
Witcher 3 the
yourself.
best open world. Ironically, because they came out with one of the worst open world games a few years later.
Maybe it's stylistic. Maybe
that's
you
because
reach,
it was unfinished.
Yeah,
That's
okay. To
like-
be fair,
Maybe
they didn't
you-
finish it.
maybe you reach a level like where there's multiple, great games that are great, and it's a style problem. I would
See-
argue because I really like Rockstar's style. It would be between them, and I actually, I think Skyrim
No, yeah, that's
has
what
done it.
That's what Chat's
has
saying.
done one of the best.
That's what Chat's saying. And I would put Skyrim up there.
Yeah,
I would say
Skyrim.
it's definitely in the argument.
Skyrim was one of the games where you purposefully would go off into the woods just to explore.
and still meet the same voice actor.
Yeah.
But see, even if we were to go back, I would even put Morrowind up there because of what it did at the time.
Yeah, it just there's
know what I mean?
there's a feeling that it gives to you
Yeah.
that I honestly
Morrowind gave
my
me that
opinion I honestly never got that kind of feeling with Assassin's Creed, and I think in an open world game if you miss that it really hurts you. Whereas like a level game, you don't need to have that and you can still get by. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a linear game.
The linear game,
Yeah.
yeah. Spicy, what do you think? Is the best
I think
open
he's
world
going
game?
through all his open world games.
Yeah, I think he's thinking.
But yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm
I think
doing.
he's offended about your Zelda opinion.
No, that's actually super interesting because I remember several times you saying it's the best
As-
game ever made.
as-
I have
As
never
do I.
said Zelda's the best game ever made. The
Can-
only
can-
game I have said is the greatest game
yeah,
ever
can
made.
we get a fact check?
Yeah.
yeah,
on
no,
this?
I please
Anyone
do.
to check any S-Bros,
No.
go look it up and
No.
listen to the episodes.
Best-
It's probably
best-
episode 1.
The greatest game ever made is The Witcher 3. I've only ever given that
He
title
has,
to one game.
as of recently, he has
As
said
of
that.
recently.
Yeah.
Always.
After the Zelda.
After it's after Zelda came. Yeah. No, the best one.
Yeah, for
Okay.
you. For you.
So I'm gonna ignore. Let's see. A lot of mechanics and stuff because there are things about Witcher 3 that are phenomenal, like pure quality content. But I'm thinking what my favorite game I've ever played just because of the experience I had when I was a kid. Link to the Past. Is
Yeah.
that considered open world?
It is because even though it's limited to what you see on your screen, you move throughout
could
the
go
world
anywhere.
from screen to screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's open world.
I think that would probably be mine, followed quickly by Red Dead.
First or second one? First one?
First one.
Because they're kind of the same.
They are kind of the same. They're kind of one game.
They kind of are. I
would
liked Red Dead 1 a little bit more probably right now as of January 14th, 2022. Because they had some like quick draw gun mechanics in it that you don't get.
Well,
Also, I feel like they took themselves less serious, so it was a funner story.
Yeah. I think both games are good, but I think I would lean towards the first one because I liked some of the characters better, like Sid
Yeah.
and the guy that the top hat guy
The
who
top
always
guy,
sold
yeah.
stuff. That guy was hilarious.
Witcher 3 probably is next just because it was so serious. And it was when I wanted to play that, I felt like I needed to dedicate a couple hours to it.
yeah.
You can't just hop in and hop out of that game, which made it stressful. I mean, if you guys want to see something funny, go back like 5 years and watch the podcast from like June of like 2017.
It was in the summer when Jordan completed it.
When Jordan completed it, he played it straight for like 3-4 months, and he had bags under his eyes, and the world was set. It's like he was listening to Radiohead
Yeah.
with the lights off in
It's
his
like
basement.
He just got done at Burning Man on a bender.
And he was just.
Hey, what? You went to Burning Man? Oh no, I just finished Witcher 3.
I just finished Witcher 3, the best game ever made. He was. That's. that's when you got to pace yourself, you know. I mean, he ate meat for way too long. Just meat.
It's the
Because
same effect.
balanced diet. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot, but I would probably say just because, I mean, that game, Zelda: A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, is my favorite game of all time. So.
Okay, so let's finally answer Blake's question. Jordan said he wants to go back to Metal Gear.
Yeah,
Solid.
so I'm gonna do Metal Gear Solid because found out you can't actually start a new game in that game. So I'm stuck. So I figured, okay, well that's the closest one to the
Wait,
finish.
can't you delete your saved files?
No, because of the cloud, it reloads it.
No, you can't. Can't you go into the cloud and force it to delete?
I don't think Microsoft gives you that password.
That takes admin.
Call
admin status.
customer support. Hey,
Yeah, I'd like to delete
no.
a saved game.
They're
No,
like, excuse me, what?
Excuse me, what?
Googled,
I don't think you're authorized for this.
I Google searched it last night. Luckily, I remember the gist of the what's going on, but it might take me a minute to get all the finer details.
Let me recap. You are a soldier sneaking around up until the point when a wiener machine gun
Metal Gear?
Metal
Metal
Gear
Gear,
comes
yeah.
out of the canyon,
And then
you're
a flying unicorn on flames.
Yeah.
yes, and then you're just like, huh? Well,
That was a good game, though.
it really is. Yeah, that was a fun game.
So anyway, I figured, well, I'm already through that one, so that one's first. So I'm gonna beat that one first.
Okay, I like it.
And then, so the 3 games for me this year, I want to beat that game, Metal Gear Solid 5, because for some reason I never beat it.
Okay.
I do want to go back and beat Metro Exodus, and then I legitimately, not because people want me to, but legitimately, I do want to finish Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I appreciate that.
I don't think we're getting an Assassin's Creed this year, so that's good. I can kind of finish this one out. Maybe we are. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, in the summer. But I can finish this one, and then
I love it.
know,
Spicy. Which ones are you going to go back to, you think?
Ascent.
Oh, yeah.
Ascent.
I'm almost done with Guardians.
Did Phil Spencer inspire you? He just
yeah, he
finished
just beat it
Ascent.
the
Oh,
day
he did?
before his
Yeah.
birthday
Yeah.
or something.
I need to. What sucks is games come out and I have like ADD with the games. I just want to play the. I either have no ADD with games, like right now I'm stuck on the Tarkov wipe. And then I have like I just want to bounce around a little bit, but because something pretty comes out and I want to play it. The Ascent, I know Guardians. I'm close to finishing it, but I have.
That was
yet
a really fun game.
Have you finished it?
No, but it's a really
Yeah,
fun
see,
game.
that one's definitely. I absolutely love that game. That's so good. Forza.
Forza.
If I can play,
Forza.
if they have unbanned me. Do you know what's funny? By the way, when they unbanned me, a week later, I got like 12,000 livery vote ups. You know how you design
Oh,
stuff?
so you were hidden from the store even.
No, they all built up, and I got like 12,000 votes. So one of my designs went viral on Forza.
Dude.
I don't know which one it is.
Was it an XoneBros one?
That's the only ones I make.
Yeah.
But I know. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting big, everybody.
Yeah.
Because half that game, I just sat there designing cool cars.
That is cool.
And it was really disappointing when I couldn't do that anymore.
That is cool, though.
Yeah. There's plenty of games. I got to pull up a list, but
Top 2.
Ascent,
Okay.
Guardians.
Ascent and Guardians. I like it.
For sure. I got to finish Ascent. I don't even think it's a very long game. I think what prevented me from finishing it is we kept going back to play with our friends.
Yeah.
To not saying that's bad, but it would have been really, really nice to have had actual co-op where when you completed a mission, it completed it for everybody. Because I was trying to,
You kind of have to have a separate save for your multiplayer character
Yeah.
if you want to
because
keep things
I mean,
even,
it's
you
that
know.
game is built for co-op. It feels like it's meant to enjoy with friends and twin stick shooter, whatever. And so that's wise. I never progressed because I did the same missions about 10 times, but anyways, I'm sure there's lots more on that list. I got to go through them.
For myself, I think like the most immediate is one that I just had pure fun with, but just didn't have the time at the time. Diablo 2. I would like to
Yeah.
go back through. That was just fun. Like I can't describe it any other way. And that was one where there's no stress factor.
You
like
just kill
it's
demons.
Just playing, and playing hard. And I think the other one that I'd like to go back through, like I said, is Grand Theft Auto 5. I made it, I think, 89% of the way through. I think I'm just missing that last 10%.
Are you gonna replay it, or are you gonna just start from your?
See, I think I might replay it actually,
It's
just
so
so that I
good.
can
And it
get in
gets
the groove.
I remember the exact moment when that game, like, turned up for me. Like, went to 11.
Yeah.
It's when you were driving to the dealership with his son, or with the son, and then he pulls the gun out in the back seat, and you know what I mean. And then he says, "Drive into
Yeah.
the dealership."
Yeah.
That moment is when the game
Takes off.
is phenomenal. Even though the beginning when you're starting in Canada or somewhere,
Yeah,
in
it
the
starts
snow.
off really good. Hooks you right away.
Oh, what's that? You're scared. Somebody knocking the floor. That's okay. Never mind. Keep going. I felt my house like shake.
Oh.
Oh, earthquake.
I'm gonna go check on something.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Anyways, Grand Theft Auto, it starts out really good, and then when all three characters finally intertwine with each other, that's when that game takes off
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Well, and just the idea, like, not, I would say, like, not each of the characters is equally as interesting. Obviously, there's kind of favorites, but the gameplay mechanics that introduces, like, there's a level when you're kind of assaulting a skyscraper and you jump from being the guy in the elevator to across a building being the sniper to then being the guy in the helicopter. It just introduces a really cool way to play the game via switching between all those characters.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. I think you should go back
Speaking
and
of open world games, we talked about which ones were the best one. Cooper in chat says, although it's a Sony exclusive, Horizon Zero Dawn is
yeah,
a
and
really
isn't
good open
Forbidden
world game.
West coming out?
That is coming out
just
soon.
what, next month?
That is one actually that I would like to try. Out of all of the Sony games that I've never played,
Horizon
Zero
Yeah.
Dawn appeals to me. I think it's just an interesting world and an interesting
Cool
take.
concept,
That's really fun. Let's take another question while Spicy is gone. Let's take Junior Winking. Junior Winking writes in, hey, by the way, thank you very much, Blake, for that question. Appreciate it. Anyone can submit a question, by the way, over at our mail sack on YouTube comments, youtube.com/XoneBros every single Friday.
I'm back.
Junior Winking writes in and says, hey, bros, I think Microsoft still has some work to do to fully recover from the Xbox One screw-up, and I think they know that. What kind of things do you see Microsoft doing the next couple years to officially get them out of that hole? I'm going to say I actually think they are out of that hole. Well, okay. Never mind. I think they're on their way out of the hole. I think once they deliver some of these AAA first-party titles, I think Hellblade, for instance, will get them out of that hole. I think Halo Infinite campaign went a long way, and even multiplayer, in beginning to get them out of that hole as well. I think they're definitely on the right track. I think they've just got to continue to deliver on their first-party titles. And that's what's going to do it. I think by the end of the year, if everything comes out that's supposed to come out and it all rocks it, I think they're golden.
Well, last year, just in the last couple months, we had Forza and Halo Infinite, or Halo multiplayer and campaign, which both games did very well. I enjoyed both games. This year, we for sure have Starfield, which is going to be another Xbox or Game Pass exclusive. I would assume the year after this year, which is 2023.
Yes.
Good math there. Nice
Like it.
job.
After
Thanks.
2022.
Yeah.
Yep. I checked it. You're good.
Yeah.
I expect we'll see maybe a lot more Fable in 2023, which will be
Yeah,
another.
that's probably-
So I
yeah.
think, and then of course you have the new Perfect Dark game that's coming out, and then I know some of their other studios are working on things. So I think,
Starfield.
that's this year. So I think we're gonna have at least one holiday hitter for the next couple of years, because this year we know we're getting Starfield for sure.
Yeah.
Because they told us we were.
Because they told us.
Yeah. Next year, I think we're gonna get. I think 2023. Maybe 2023 we'll get Perfect Dark, and 2024 we'll get Fable, or reverse those. But I think we're gonna get one of those games in 2023, which is going to be really cool. And then you're talking. There's already been rumors about Microsoft patenting a Halo title for the next iteration of Halo Infinite. So obviously that's going to drop sometime. I think game wise and studio wise, I think we're set up for some good stuff over the next few years. Let's just hope those games deliver when they come out.
We're set up for beauty, baby. Spicy, your thoughts? What does Microsoft have to do to get out of the Xbox One hole?
I think this is above my pay grade. I don't know, but I think they've gotten serious. They got serious a while ago.
Yeah.
And I think, they're making moves that are forcing other big players in the industry to follow suit. Like, for example, doing a subscription service. That was others tried, right?
EA kind of started it, but to do it on a
on this scale
is new.
Is a huge investment, and the numbers that we've seen show that people are actually spending more money with a subscription for service that makes us think that we're saving money, which is
it really does.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
Genius marketing.
Yeah. As far as Jordan touched on the games, it's true, but there's always an argument to be had. Well, they have. I mean, when you say Xbox doesn't have the exclusives that PlayStation has, well, PlayStation doesn't have the exclusives that Xbox has too. I would say maybe it leans 60-40, but it's not nearly what it used to be.
Yeah.
It's not it's not the 80-20 as from before.
Yeah.
We can bring up Halo. I know you brought up Halo, Jordan. There is not a Halo. I think you brought this up last week or the week before.
Yeah, I was basically saying I don't. So Sony does what they do well, which is single player exclusive cinematic games, and like Spider-Man is really good, God of War is really good. I'm super excited for Forbidden West, which I think is next month. But what they don't have is an exclusive multiplayer game on the scale of a Halo
shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's good in Microsoft's side of the ring because they have a multiplayer game that is just on their platforms that is really killing it right now. I mean, there's a few issues here and there, but it's for the most part killing it.
Well, and not only a multiplayer game, but an esports multiplayer game that they seem to be investing money in that space. They seem to really be pushing that. I mean, when was the last time you saw Halo tournaments on the scale and level that you're seeing them now as far as publicity-wise? It's every week I'm seeing them. Every week I'm seeing announcements, and that's all due to the fact that Halo Infinite is here. It's also due to the fact, which I think is a very smart move, I'll say that again, their multiplayer is free to play. You bring in a whole new audience. Kids can now try out your game, try out your mechanics, see if it's something they want to get serious about and play it. Then that breeds interest. It's a circular effect that continues to grow, breeds interest in your tournaments, which then gives it a serious aspect to it, which gets broadcasted, content created, and it's a circle that grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, the one thing I do think Microsoft needs to do, I don't know if need is the word, that I would like them to do, and I think Sony does this really well, is completely new IPs. I mean, look at Sony. Sony had Horizon. I know we're getting a second one, but Horizon was a completely new one from a developer that did Killzone, so you couldn't get further from what they did. Then you had like Detroit Become Human. You had Days Gone. You had what was the I guess Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man was a new IP on the PlayStation 4. There was one more. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
You said God of.
No, God of War is not a new IP, but those.
You're talking about new IP.
Yeah, like straight new IP. So Horizon was a new IP that came to PlayStation 4.
Days
Gone.
Oh, the one with the big backpack that walked everywhere.
Yeah, Death Stranding. Yeah.
Yes,
and the big backpack.
Yeah, Death Stranding. Ghost of Tsushima, one of my favorites.
Very good game.
If not my game of the year when it came out. I mean, incredibly good game. Ghost of Tsushima, all new IPs that kind of. Again, they did that's what Sony does well, which is a very cinematic, single-player focused game. But I wish I know we were talking. It was mentioned in chat, and then some people were talking about it. Some people were disappointed that the initiative is just remaking Perfect Dark. I'll kind of save my judgments for when the game comes out because maybe it'll be amazing, right? Maybe it'll be an amazing remake, and we'll be happy with it. But I get that sentiment where they're coming from, like something completely new, like new, Because think about it, a lot of Microsoft's exclusives right now are I'd say 3 to 4 games deep. Gears of War, Halo, Forza, Perfect Dark. You could even count because it's a remake of a game that already came out.
Sure.
Fable. This will be Fable 4. You know what I mean? Like, there's not what does Microsoft have? Hellblade. There you go. I guess Hellblade's one of them. I'll give you that one. And now we have Hellblade. So I guess Hellblade was, but see, I don't think Hellblade, the original one, was exclusive, was it? It wasn't an Xbox exclusive. I think it went everywhere, and then Microsoft bought Ninja Theory.
That's the thing. We got to talk about that too. I mean, it takes a while to make a game.
No, yeah.
They now own almost every developer at this point. So they're going to start bearing fruit. It's when that starts happening that we're going to see that
I think the like one I'm excited for, but we just got to wait to see more stuff on. That would be a completely new IP, would be Avowed.
About Starfield as well.
Yeah, Starfield as well. So I guess I'm forgetting Starfield. Yeah, Starfield as well, which will be a Microsoft exclusive. But compared to how many new IPs Sony put out in the PlayStation 4
but we're only in year one.
No, I get it. But that's what I'm saying. I think that's if Microsoft can kind of dip into that.
And what
category?
do you think? I don't know the numbers on this, but what and this is where we need like Andrew from the Level Up Show to talk to us. But what do you think is their biggest one? If you look, their biggest one is probably not a new IP. It's probably God of War.
Are PlayStation?
On PlayStations.
I would say God of War, Uncharted, and I would say Spider-Man would be my top. I would say I think Horizon is very popular too.
That's Horizon.
You know what I mean?
Horizon's huge.
Horizon's super huge. It's why it's getting a sequel. I don't know how popular Ghost of Tsushima is. I think it's an incredible game and it should be popular.
Well, and so what I'm saying is, new IPs are great, but standard IPs done really, really well. Like and by standard IPs I mean like, games that you have in your library or titles for a while done really, really well are just as valuable. God of War is example.
They're like on version 8.
I'll give you an example.
There's almost as many Brave Little Toasters.
Yeah. Halo.
Land Before Times.
Halo is huge because it's your big hitter. There is an expectation set there. If you meet or surpass that expectation, everybody's talking about it. Look what's happening. Everybody's talking about Halo. Mm-hmm. It's in the multiplayer consciousness. It's free to play. It's done correctly. There's more to come on it. We're waiting for a roadmap now.
Yeah, but new IPs can become that.
No.
Like look at Horizon.
New IPs can definitely become that, and then you introduce yourself to another.
And I mean, I know God of War is not a new IP, but they completely it was essentially a reboot of the series. Like they completely God of War, what we have now, and God of War Ragnarok are completely different from God of War 1 through 3. Like entirely different games. You know.
Let's thank you very much, Junior Winking. Let's go to B17 Barrage's question here. Speaking of Halo, he says earlier in the week, Halo Infinite had a status update where they said they are driving towards being able to share more details and a roadmap to help answer your questions and manage expectations. Barrage B17 says, my question is, does Halo not having a public roadmap out in the near future alarm you, considering we don't have a date for co-op campaign yet, as well as other issues? I will say, I don't think not having a co-op campaign hurt you in Halo, but it was a missed opportunity.
It didn't help.
It's just something that's missing because I would love to go through the campaign with you guys.
Playing through the Halo campaign, I think I even said it a few times. I was like, man, imagine when we can actually play this together.
Yeah.
But we also said, we get it. How do you balance this map?
Yeah. But so what I'm saying is I don't think it hurt it. It just was a feature that would be nice to have.
I think a missed opportunity was
yeah. So as far as does them not having a roadmap out, I don't think yet. I think I got to reserve that judgment for when the roadmap comes out because I think
because we've seen roadmaps like Cyberpunk's.
Well, the game
literally told us nothing.
Well, the game, it was a line that said stuff will drop here,
and then that stuff didn't drop. They delayed it.
But I think here's the thing: it released at Christmas. You're at the end of a year. You're doing multiplayer for the first time in this kind of scale, free to play way with a battle pass. I think it was smart of them not to release with a roadmap. Get your feet underneath you. Now you're in January, you're in 2022, we're coming into February, we'll have a roadmap, and let's see what the expectations are, because there's two expectations. There's going to be your multiplayer expectation, and there's going to be your campaign expectation. And let's see what's coming, and you can use it as an opportunity. If you launch with a roadmap, you miss out on marketing opportunities. If you bring a roadmap a few months later, you bring up conversation about your game. You're able to market it, show it off. Hey, look what's coming.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a reason to be alarmed yet. I think if the roadmap comes out and there are things there to be concerned about, that's the time. That's the time to be concerned about it.
Yeah. No, I don't think developers should be required to have a roadmap or anything like that. I mean, I do kind of feel for developers in a sense that as soon as their game launches, a lot of people ask, okay, what's next? And they haven't, had a chance to catch their breath on what they just released. So I don't think I'm not demanding a roadmap or anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to know what's coming, and I do like roadmaps when they're not just a line. of
Looking
stuff.
at you, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Looking at you.
Uh,
Do you think Cyberpunk developers, and I'm sorry, what's the developer of Cyberpunk again? I forget.
CD
CD
Projekt Red.
Projekt
Project
Red?
Red, yeah.
Has been diminished because of Cyberpunk?
100%.
Yeah.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's a shame because I think their previous game was one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah, and people said that it had a rocky launch.
Way better than Zelda, right?
Yeah.
But people said that Witcher 3 had a rocky launch, and I don't remember.
It did. But it wasn't as
not
rocky
like,
as
but
Cyberpunk.
not like this, right?
No, it was at least finished.
Cyberpunk. Speaking of our question earlier, that's a game that I would like to go back to.
When
As
it's-
soon
Is it
as-
time?
As soon as I get,
I would wait.
I know,
would
I
wait
want
till you
the
get
next gen graphics.
update,
That's what I'm
stuff
waiting
like
for.
that. So,
roadmap though, Jordan. Finish your
yeah,
thoughts.
no, yeah,
Sorry,
I
derailed
don't.
us.
I'm not like demanding they have a roadmap. I mean, I would like to know when Forge is coming and campaign co-op is coming, and I hope they make improvements going from season 1 to season 2. But I don't. You know, I think it's like you. If the roadmap comes out and there's a lot of good content coming, that's good. If a roadmap comes out and it's just a line,
Yeah,
Cyberpunk, then
the reason they
there's,
don't bring it out is because you want to continue conversation. So it's a marketing opportunity. Spicy roadmap, Halo, concerned, not concerned. What are your thoughts there?
I think it's too early to be worried. Also, well, what? Okay, this is not a roadmap thing. This is what worries me.
Okay,
And I just think they're new on battle passes and stuff. But the weekly unlocks for like doing all the challenges and everything, it's really surprising that it's like one thing for one weapon. And then they come out again with that same thing on the pistol this time. And then that same thing the next week on it's like that's a little more concerning for me that they're like watering down everything that we unlock essentially.
Yeah.
Because there's not content there.
Yeah.
That's far more concerning. I mean, having a roadmap, like you said, David, is basically just talking points for hype.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. It's to get people excited, which is still important, but that does or does not necessarily mean that things aren't being worked on or there's issues. I think when you actually see a lack of unlocks like we're seeing, that's a little bit more concerning to me.
Sure. Speaking of that,
Yeah. And as of course, sorry to interrupt. And of course, when you all the cool stuff you can just buy anyways.
yeah.
also a big red flag. Matt Wilcox writes in about the battle pass for Halo. He wants to know, do you think 343 will end up shortening this first season? There are still over 100 days left, and he's level 89 and have stopped using XP boosts just to prolong it a bit for myself. Thanks, guys. I look forward to this show every week. Y'all do a great job. Thank you very much, Matt Wilcox. Do you think they're sticking? I think they stick to this first timeline. I think they may shorten the next season.
Yeah, I don't think they'll shorten the first season because I think they're going to revamp how a lot of stuff is done. At least I hope they do, because
Yeah.
right now is not the most optimal way to do it.
Sure.
I think they're going to keep it, and then season 2 will be different. We'll probably get, I would say at the launch of season 2, we'll get a secondary progression system, which is, I think, really needed, especially for people that, like myself, who have finished the battle pass.
Yeah.
There's no progression after that.
None.
Other than ranked, but I mean, it'd be nice to have something else to shoot for.
What do you mean? Now you can play the game.
Yeah, now I can play the game. Yeah, so
Well,
but-
you told me a couple days ago how much more enjoyable the game is now that you don't have to
I was
worry
like,
about.
I don't have to worry about doing the challenges.
Yeah.
The challenges themselves, I think, need to be revamped, and how you get stuff for the battle pass. So I think they're probably going to take these. I think it's like 100 and something days left to probably fine tune and make adjustments to next season's battle
Sure.
pass.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Can I jump in on something real
Yeah,
quick?
of course.
So I noticed chat talking about it, and I actually think they bring up some good points. They were talking about how last generation Microsoft had a lot of exclusives that came out, like new exclusives like Sunset Overdrive, Ori, Recore, and stuff like that. Rise, yeah. My point was Sony's exclusives, and I'm not saying that these Rise and all them were bad games, but Horizon Zero Dawn hit the community a lot harder and made a bigger splash than any of those games.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Sony does new IPs really well because they're all heavy hitters.
Well, those are. I think those are different. So, for instance, let's take Ori and the Blind Forest.
Which, by the way, I think is actually a very good game.
Quality
I would give
game.
it a 9.
Yeah,
I think it's an excellent game.
Better
and
than Zelda?
No, but it's very good.
Quality game, but it is not on the same.
Yeah,
level
I don't think it's on the same level
as far as the amount of money that went into it, blockbuster hype that you get because of that, the end result of a truly AAA title. Ori and the Blind Forest is a AA title.
Yeah, it's
Blue
Moon
it's
wasn't
it's best of class in that class. Sony last generation had best of class in AAA.
Yeah.
I don't think Microsoft had a AAA title during the Xbox One that could compete.
I think you could
in that class.
I think you could probably say Sunset Overdrive was AAA, but because it was done by Insomniac. But take Sunset Overdrive
versus
and
Spider-Man.
like huge.
Do you see the difference?
And I'm not saying Sunset Overdrive is bad. It was fun for what it was, but I would choose Spider-Man over Sunset any day of the week.
Yeah.
Same with Horizon Zero Dawn. The point I was trying to make is Sony is incredibly good at making those AAA single player experiences, and that's where I want Microsoft to kind of move in. Yes, I know Microsoft had some like Ori and Sunset and Rise, but even taking Rise compared to Days Gone, as much I do think Rise was kind of underrated. I will say that. I do think it was unfairly reviewed by a lot of people, and I think it deserved more credit for what it was. But I would still say that Days Gone is an entirely different notch up than Rise. Okay. Even though Rise was made by Crytek, which I guess you could say is a triple, you know what I mean?
Where would you put State of Decay?
State of Decay, I think, is a fun game.
It's a 2.5A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't. Yeah, because it's very good, but it doesn't have that AAA.
Yeah.
Polish.
Well, I think some of these studios, because of their success with their indie games, because let's be honest, the first Ori was probably leaning more towards an indie game from Blue Moon Studios.
Yeah.
You know, and the second Ori was much. You know, I don't know if you'd want to call it a AAA game, but it was definitely had more budget, more funding, more. You know what I mean? So I think you're getting some of these independent studios that are moving their way up because of the games that they release. But anyway, I thought it was a good conversation in chat, and I just wanted to make the point that basically what I said. I think Sony is very good at that single player experience, and even though Microsoft did have new exclusives, it hurts me to say this, but I don't think a game like Sunset Overdrive and even Ori, as much fun as it was, is on the same level as like Horizon Zero Dawn and a Spider-Man.
Yeah. Sure. Spicy, let's get this next question over to you.
Okay.
Our last question of the evening from our mail sack.
Okay. I'm nervous now.
You look like you're focusing now.
I know. Holy cow. He calls me out.
This is Captain Obvious, Capitan. He says, blessing to the bros. My question is, how old were you guys when you all started caring about graphics and FPS, frames per second? For me, it was around the Xbox One X because of social media. As a kid growing up gaming, I didn't know what that was. I just played games and enjoyed them. That's a great point, by the way. As a kid, you don't care. You're just like, oh, yes, I got a video game to play.
I disagree.
Oh, really?
100%.
You don't think as a kid you cared about graphics?
I cared. I absolutely cared.
If he didn't have
do you know how pissed I was when Sega came out with that Sonic Speed commercial that's like, this is fast, and then it showed Mario Kart, this is them, and then it showed and it's like, oh my gosh, Sega has more power. I don't have the Sega. I only have the Super Nintendo. I'm pissed.
Yeah. I could believe that. In those days, if it wasn't 480p, he wasn't happy.
No, see the thing. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, I remember watching Mission Impossible, the first movie with Tom Cruise, and there's a scene with this is how important gear is to me, hardware. There's a scene where the Tom Cruise's friend, the big dude, he was on like Green Mile.
Yeah.
You
which
know?
guy you're talking about?
Yeah, he's like, are you telling me that I can keep the 686 processor and all that stuff? And I remember hearing that and going, I know that processor. My dad just put that in his work computer. And that's when I started going in and installing the sound, DOS version of everything and breaking the PC because I was pushing things too hard. as a young little 11-year-old hacker man.
A young little gearhead.
Yes.
You're a gearhead.
Yeah. I have always liked power.
Yes. Yeah, I was never interested in the like breaking things down mentality. I just wanted to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you never had to experience then having no sound in a game. You know, because when you have to install the drivers for the Sound Blaster 3600 by DOS, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to use this crappy card.
Well, so yeah, I never. I
In
mean,
the
I had
early
I had
90s?
I had PC games, but I had like Myst, King's Quest was a big one for me, and then SimCity was a big one for me as well.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, Command and Conquer was big, but there was never anything like.
Let me ask you this:
I never had like my parents bought a home computer that sat in our kitchen, and I
So
could
our
just
mom could see what we were doing.
and I could just install the games.
Yeah.
Did you ever play StarCraft on the Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I did.
What do you remember? What the FPS was on that?
I don't, but I remember
It
the
was
first time I
worse than the
flew,
computer,
and
yeah.
the first time I hit not barrel roll, but you could go like a loop-de-loop, around, and it would like zoom out, and I remember being like, "Damn!"
Yeah, I think the game would crash if you got too many Protoss airships.
That's when you had to buy the
little
red
thing.
little thing that upped the bit
Up
rate
the RAM,
of,
yeah.
of the Nintendo cartridge in the front that you didn't know existed originally. You're like, oh my gosh, I just got this upgrade for my Nintendo 64. It was like 6 FPS.
It was, and it dropped when you had the Protoss airships.
See,
Yeah.
and for me, I just loved that game. I never had that expansion slot. In fact,
if you played that without the expansion
yeah,
slot?
yeah.
Oh my
I beat
gosh,
that game.
bless you.
I beat that game without the expansion slot.
Can you beat that game without the expansion
Apparently, you
slot?
can. I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just didn't care, and I remember I'd play Madden on those. I'd play freaking Home Run Derby. Oh, good times. But I just wanted to play.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I did too, but half the fun was, I mean, even as a kid, but that's just how I've been my whole life.
Yeah.
So
Honestly,
I love
I
that.
think
honestly, and okay, you could go back to our early episodes. We joked about this before, but in all seriousness, in our early episodes of the XoneBros, when it was the Xbox One at launch and the PlayStation had better frame rates, higher frame rates, the PC Master Race was coming
Higher
in.
resolution.
Higher resolution.
Yeah.
The PC Master Race was coming in and saying,
Full swing.
I play games at 60. I can't go back to 30. I remember mocking those children and saying, you guys are fools. Having said that, now that we have hardware that brings you 120 frames per second and 60, I now know why I was wrong. You were right. I can't go back once you've experienced it. But see, we were sitting we were wallowing in ignorance.
That's why Jordan still likes Del Taco. Because he hasn't had like real Mexican food.
Yeah.
So
When it comes to graphics, don't you think it's kind of like a marriage between the two, like graphics and gameplay?
Graphics is like the cherry on top.
Because like even we were talking about Assassin's Creed earlier, even loading up Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Series X the first time, like the graphics do kind of take you. It's like, wow, this looks really good. You can see a little bit of the upgrade here. But then playing a game like Valheim, where the graphics are just weird because like they look good at 40 feet, but they look terrible at like it's a weird graphical engine.
Yeah.
But how many hours did we put into that game?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it's like it almost feels like it's a marriage between the two. Like graphics enhance your game, but you can't have it without like a good loop. Like it's just.
well, you can have really pretty games that suck.
Yeah,
And you can have really ugly games that are awesome.
yeah,
Brian F. in chat says, for
like
me,
Minecraft.
Brian F. in chat says, for me, I started learning about how systems were better than others when I played a console version, then played at the time the superior arcade version of a game like NBA Jam. He is right there. That is true, and that is very true. But I think in the arcade version, the screens were better at the time too. Like it was like the top of the line screen.
Top of the line CRTV.
You want to know what I think game style needs a comeback? The gun at the pointed at the TV games, and you even have the pedal where you like duck down. Those are just fun.
Yeah.
You can't. You'd have to design it differently nowadays.
Well,
right?
because we don't have CRT monitors anymore.
Yeah, because if you want to do yourself a favor,
It's this. I know what you're gonna
Yeah.
say, and it's awesome.
Look
Nintendo's
at
a genius.
look at how Duck Hunt was made, and it's just the creativity and engineering and well, I would even say innovation, like taking the technology you have at the time to create a game. Fascinating how Duck Hunt was worked back in the day and why it doesn't work now.
You guys have told me this before, and I forget. How was it done?
So it was the way the CRTVs did their, was it the frame rate?
Yeah, the interlace frame
Yeah,
rate. Yeah,
and that's how it tracked because there were so many
the
flashes
screen
per,
flashed
Yeah.
and put specific data on that specific thing that your eye couldn't see that the gun could pick up.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
That is
which
cool.
is why when I think you clicked the gun, the screen went like that.
Yeah.
You know, something like
Shut up, dog.
that.
No, well, that's the thing with all the old hardware. It's really fascinating. You want to see a really cool case is Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 and how they did the music with the limitations of the actual hardware.
Yeah.
How they made the sound like drums, how they made the sound like whoa, 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 you know, all that stuff. There's when you have limitations, it brings out the most creativity.
Yeah. Sometimes
in
limitations
development.
help.
I really agree, and even if you like,
Look at Star Wars.
yeah,
Limitations is what
Even-
made Star Wars great.
Like,
And
I don't-
Once limitations were removed,
I mean, you're opening a can of worms right now, Dave.
yeah. I don't know how to say this because I don't want to like offend like modern day developers, because I think there's a lot of modern day developers that do incredible work, but I feel like developers back then, like you said, because of those limitations, the things they thought of and the gameplay that they brought out, like if you take Metal Gear Solid, I think it was Snake Eater, or no, Metal Gear Solid 3. Do you know some of the boss fights in those games?
Mm-hmm.
So the boss fights, one of the two, I'll tell you two boss fights, and this is why I think I'm one of the reasons I think Hideo Kojima is actually one of the great developers. He's up there in my top 5. There was a boss fight, I forget the guy's name, but he read your mind, and what he did is he told you, he said, "Hey, I will prove to you that I'm better than you, and I'll read your and I'll basically show you my power." He says, "Put your controller on the floor and watch this." And what it did is he took his hand and he went left to right, and the controller moved left to right. But what it was doing is it was rumbling because of the rumble pack,
Yeah.
and that's how it did it.
So
That
cool.
same, I believe it was the same boss fight. You couldn't actually hit the guy because he was telepathic, so he knew when you were going to shoot him. So what did you have to do to beat him? You had to take your controller out of port 1 so he couldn't read your mind and put it into port 2.
now that's cool.
Yeah, it was just, and
That is
I
cool.
almost, I get why you don't do that nowadays, but it's almost like I wish that kind of creativity came back.
That's like
you know
blurring.
what I mean? Like
What that you don't know what that's doing? That's blurring the lines between your game and reality.
Yeah, it was.
That's David Blaning that shit.
That's David Blaine.
There's actually
developer David Blaine.
there's actually one more boss fight where you fight. I believe it's a sniper in the forest, and you have to basically. He's basically been waiting his whole life to fight you, Snake, because you're the one guy that's equal to him, and he fights no one else but him.
So Rocky 3.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And what would happen is you could go and do the boss fight, and you'd have to use some of your equipment to find him because he was camouflaged. Or if you waited a real life week, he would die of old age, and you didn't actually get to fight him.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Even going back to the telepathic guy, he would tell you what games you're playing because it would read your memory card.
Well, you want to know?
like
what,
it was
wanna,
such fascinating game.
You
design.
want to know what those are, though? That's taking a risk. That's a big risk.
But
both those boss
that's what I'm
fights.
saying. I think risk. I mean, look what Call of Duty 4 did. It took a risk, and now it's a multiplayer standard.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know what
risks
Like,
pay off.
yeah.
High risk, high reward. But for every one of those risks that pays off, you've got 10 that don't.
Yeah, well, those poor guys.
But also, I think you're right there in that there's people change the genre
yeah.
because of what they do
Yeah.
creatively wise. However, I think in 20 years, developers will look back at what was done with the limitations
Yeah,
of this
no,
hardware
you're probably
and
right,
say
yeah.
the same thing.
But no, that just reminded me when you said that, because I do feel like because of their limitations, there was a lot of creativity that was to be had.
I don't think as much, though. I think we're to the point now that, audio files are now in games uncompressed because we're not worried about space anymore. We're not worried about, even with NVMe drives, we're not worried about bandwidth going back and forth between, graphics card and having the game retrieve assets and all that stuff. Back then, there was real limitation I think the limitation is no longer necessarily hardware. I mean, granted, you can always have better graphics, but with how things are nowadays, I mean,
well, but but there's going to be different limitations, right? So let's pretend it's not hardware, it's software. Like maybe there's an AI system that hasn't yet been invented that you've got to do, and people are looking back at Halo and saying, "Man, for not having this real world AI crazy system that we have now." Look at what they were able to do with their AI in the game.
but so if we're doing apples to apples, the Super Nintendo technically could not play the music of Donkey Kong Country. It just technically couldn't do that. And they mirrored, I mean, look it up. It's actually super interesting how they did. They mirrored some sounds and they broke the system to make the music sound the way that it sounds.
Yeah, that's
whereas
cool.
now
you don't necessarily
have to worry about.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That. So.
Well, I keep thinking you said that because I think it'll like you said, people will look back and because things will progress. For some reason in my mind, I keep thinking like it'll be like VR MMOs, and people will be like, used to hold a controller. Like,
you
used to hold something in your hand when you played games.
Yeah. You didn't just plug in.
You didn't what?
You didn't just lay down on your couch and plug in.
And then eventually it's going to be like the Matrix where you actually just put an Ethernet into your head,
Yeah.
and
Remember
all that
the
stuff?
Matrix when they thought that was fiction?
Yeah, I think it's actually going to turn out to be like Wall-E, where we're just all on sofas, all fat, and just floating around.
I think it's probably more accurate. We're basically there. Let's be honest. Especially through COVID. We're basically there.
I was like, you got your Slurpee.
With Amazon stuff getting delivered to your door. I
by
don't even need to
drones
go out.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even need to go outside.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be.
One thing that I just this last year, so in 2021, I started. In fact, I hit my 1 year anniversary at work this last month. So,
Yay. Do we have a yay?
yeah, give me a yay.
Yay.
Oh, thank you.
That was a lot easier. See, I'm lazy. I'm not even going to pull it up.
But one thing that really kind of shocked my gameplay was just no longer having time.
Yeah.
This year, and then not taking the time to enjoy games. And so one thing I'm really looking forward to this year, and I started this week, is actually, and I highly recommend everybody do this as well, is actually just setting aside time, even if it's just an hour, to disconnect, like turn off your phone, do whatever you have to do, and sit down and play a game. I did that this week. Life changer. Like, you want to talk about therapeutic, just enjoying life, that is a way to do it. And I think last year, what I didn't realize is as I'm so busy, I would sit down and be like, okay, I've got to get this game in. I've got to play some Halo right now. No.
Yeah.
And while I'm playing, I'm still connected and like doing things. I think the best way to game, and this sounds counterintuitive because it's like, well, how are you disconnecting? You're connected to this electronic device. Disconnect from the real world and lose yourself in a story, yourself in a game.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, that's what makes gaming so fun.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing just how this little shift in a mindset and like a few little actions can really bring back gaming in a way how it was as a kid for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think adulting takes that away quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what I'm saying is just if you're busy like me, just set aside dedicated time daily. I really believe you've got to do it daily, at least every other day, but daily, because without regular consistency, you're not going to be able to immerse yourself in worlds. It's like reading a book. You can't just read a book once a week, a chapter a week, because you forget what happens. Mm-hmm. You got to like really immerse yourself and read a little bit every day. And that's the same with gaming. Anyways, I'm just saying I'm enjoying life. My goal is to enjoy life this year.
That's good. I mean, we've talked about this on the show a lot. Balance. We've actually, I don't think we've talked too much about swinging too far to the responsible side, like David is talking about right now.
Yeah.
We've talked about balance in gaming and life, making sure you're
not gaming too much.
You're not gaming too much.
But make sure you're not working too much. And sometimes you don't have a choice. Like like stuff has to get done. You just have to do it. But there is no reason while you're doing it that you can't say to yourself, I'm disconnecting for 1 hour today at this time, blocking out my calendar, turning off the lights, turning on the TV, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling with gaming and busyness, because I think a lot of people get burnt out, not because they're playing too many games, but because life burns you out. I think just do that. I'm telling you, as someone who has experienced not being able to play as many games as I want to this last year, just doing this last week has been changing my life.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, David.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. Speaking of spoilers,
have
you watched Spider-Man yet?
No, we're not going to talk about spoilers.
Bro, you need to watch Spider-Man.
I know. We had I speaking of being busy, yeah. Okay.
You need to take 2 hours of your day and go and see Spider-Man.
Well, kind of 3 hours.
Yeah, it's freaking long.
Yeah,
3
My
hours
one
and-
complaint is it's freaking long.
Yeah.
Holy crap, people.
Yeah. I will. Okay, we can talk about it later, but I will. Just stop talking, David.
That was hilarious last week when that was funny.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good one.
Anything
And
else,
anyway,
David?
for those that listened,
Go listen to last week.
Whoever listened to the end of the show
that
last
was
week.
that was a good one.
Spicy was disappointed.
But boy, Will in chat on our point there says it gives me better peace of mind when I've handled all my responsibilities and get to set aside time without having to worry about everything. Amen. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And with that, let's get out of here.
Okay.
Before I spoil Spider-Man.
No, what it is I've said this before. If I have a choice between taking 3 hours out of my time to watch a movie or playing games, I'm going to choose a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to dedicate time
Yeah.
to watch something.
Yeah. I understand that.
Ah,
Have a great rest of your week, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.